Welcome everybody to another one. Thank you so much for tapping in. Please go ahead and hit the like button and also share with your friends, your loved ones, and whatnot. And also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot in the platform. For those of you that's already subscribed, thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Words cannot describe how much I'm thankful for your support. And I hope that, these videos that I'm sharing with you are some videos that can kind of give you some encouragement to overcome whatever you might be struggling with, and overcome that. Sometimes we going through things and we can't really figure it out on our own, so we kind of reach out to certain sources to try to get help in those areas. So I hope that what I'm sharing is of value to you in those areas that you may be struggling with. All right, folks, we on part 12. I missed a day yesterday. I want to apologize again. You got to work with me. A new channel, but, nonetheless, we on part 12 of my prison journey. Um, I just want to say this, before I begin. I'm so grateful to God for what he has blessed me with. I'm grateful for way he has allowed me to go, the direction I'm going in. For my growth as a man, developing into becoming a better man. And most importantly, and this may sound crazy to a lot, but it's real when you really think about it. I want to thank God for allowing me to go through some of the trials that I've been going through since I've been released, and in the past as well too. Because as I go through these trials and I work through them to overcome them, and then I overcome them. Not that no more trials are coming, but I'm dealing with the opposition and the trial. What I'm noticing is that it's helping to strengthen my character, strengthen my will, right? Because a lot of times our will are weak and we start succumbing to our lower desires, and then we start to make mistakes in our lives. And as a result of that, we invite much pain and displeasure in our life that, oftentimes we don't take the time out to look in the mirror and say, well, you know what? I'm guilty of this right here. I'm the cause. I'm the reason of why I'm suffering what I'm suffering right now. So I want to shout God out for that too, and thank him so much for allowing me to go through those trials to help me to build some character. And I hope you can do the same as well. So we on part 12. We on part 12. Go ahead and hit the like button. We got a lot coming down the pipe with my prison journey. I'm in Lehigh County Prison, Allentown, Pennsylvania, and I'm just going through the process of fighting the case. You know, uh, Possession of heroin with the intent to distribute, along with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and I was also charged with the Armed Career Criminal Act. Some may know it as the ACCA. Armed Career Criminal Act basically means that if you are charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm, meaning that you possessed a firearm, whether it was actual possession or constructive possession, and if you have a prior conviction of either a crime of violence or a serious drug offense, and you were sentenced to more than a year for that charge, you will be qualified to be charged federally, United States Code 18922G1. Possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. If you have three prior qualifying conviction of either a serious drug offense or a crime of violence, either combination, you will qualify as being an armed career criminal, and then you face a mandatory minimum of 15 years, a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. So I'm in Lehigh County Prison. I'm dealing with, the emotions of doing time. For a lot of you that don't know, what we go through when we doing time. If we have girlfriends, or wives, baby mamas, whoever it is, whoever was your significant other when you were incarcerated, somebody that you spend the majority of your day with. At nighttime, you went to their home and slept in their bed. This is somebody that you would consider to be, kind of significant others, even though you may be, dipping and dabbing, dealing with multiple women, like I was. But you, you, you know, you got that one out of the bunch that you kind of, take to a little bit more. And, you know, when we're doing time, we're trying to hold on to as many females as we can because they can help you get through the bed, just to get on the phone and have a conversation. Hey, babe, how you doing? How's your day going? Oh, everything's going fine. I miss you so much. I love you. I'm coming up on a visit. That can get you through a day. In fact, that can get you through a whole week, if you ask me. But when you get to a certain part in your incarceration and those things start to fade away, meaning your significant other starts to find interest somewhere else with somebody else. Sometimes it could be somebody that these things does happen. And sometimes, it may be somebody you don't know. But nonetheless, you don't like either story. So, I'm dealing with that. My significant other walking away on me. Uh, you know, you get pain, you get lonely, and it becomes extremely stressful to deal with that. In addition, you're dealing with the case itself, not knowing, like, damn, I don't know when I'm coming home. I don't even know if I'm going to beat the case. And if I don't beat the case, in my case, I'm at least not going to see the streets for another 15 years if I don't beat the case. That's heavy. That's heavy, family. You know, and I'm around men in there that's hardly, they're not hardly facing no time at all. You may have one or two men in there. I believe it was a guy in there. He was actually charged federally. He had a barbershop, and some of you might know the case. He had a big barbershop out there, and barbershop got raided because they were kind of, selling drugs out the barbershop and whatnot. So he was in there facing a significant amount of time. So, this was somebody that I could kind of see eye to eye with. We chopped it up a lot throughout the day. He spent a lot of time on that telephone for obvious reasons, what I just explained. And we would talk about those things too as well. Like, man, damn, bro, how you doing? How the family doing, man? I don't know, man. She acting up, man. And I'm like, yeah, I feel your pain. Going through the same thing. So we would kind of like bounce off each other for strength. I'll be on the law library computer, and he asked me, anybody got next? Nah, you got next, because these guys ain't gonna use the computer. They kind of in and out. They charges is maybe DUI, maybe a small possession of a small amount of marijuana, coke, whatever. Nonetheless, they getting out sometime soon. You know, so me and him, we would talk and discuss you know things that he's dealing with in his case. Maybe he might have found a case that he believed will help me in my case. He'll kind of pass it on to me, and likewise, if I found something that'll help his case, I will pass it on as well. So my lawyers, he's coming every week to visit me and explaining certain things, with the motions that he's filing. And the one motion that really was disturbing was the motion to disclose the identity of the confidential informant. I have the right, I have a constitutional right to face my accuser or to have my attorney cross-examine that witness based on what he claims I did. And to hear that motion got denied is like, it just feels like now the walls was like this, where I was confident that, man, I got them because they don't got nothing. The walls started shrinking because, you know, each motion that they denied, the wars just kept doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this, until, you know, we led up to trial. You know, now in the meantime, between time, as I said in the previous video, they would take me over and transport me to the federal detention center in Philadelphia, and I would stay there probably maybe a week tops, 10 days the most, I believe I stayed, because my judge, you know, he does cases over there too. So if I have a court date for such and such date, and the judge will say, well, look, I'm gonna be in Philadelphia that that day or that week, reschedule it, not the date, but just reschedule where he's gonna have the hearing at, which will be in Philadelphia. So I will go over there and, you know, being there for about a week. You know, I met a few guys that were actually fighting their case. For the most part, I will say this, and I just gotta be real, at least 85%, and I think that's just being nice. 85% of the population there were cooperating with the government, not with their lawyer, with the government. So you have to be careful on what kind of information you share about your case, because they will have, and if they have what's called in the feds, jumping on your case. What that means is that you got guys in there that's trying to get out, right? A lot of them is trying to get out because they're trying to get to their girls, their wives, their baby moms, or whatever so they trying to hurry up and get out to try to control what's between their legs. So here it is, you're sharing your case, you know, in good faith, because you're trying to get some understanding on, hey man, what you think about this evidence that they got against me? You know, you think it's gonna stick? You think I got a chance to beat it? And you know, the guy might say, man, all right, let's chop it up, man. Tell me about the case. Tell me, so what happened? You know, and you kind of loosening up, because you know, in your mind, you thinking, man, it's a convict like me. You know, I could tell him my business. He ain't gonna put me under the gun. So you kind of open up a little bit more, man. Look, man, you know, they got me on this. You know what I'm saying? I remember that cell right there. You know what I'm saying? Damn, man. And he like, yeah, well, what happened, Dad? Oh, you sold, yeah, I sold all that to him. You know what I mean? And all that's happening right then and there, he's just recording everything up here to transfer it over to the government. Because you in there in the federal detention center, you're gonna see a lot of individuals going to court every day. What? How can you go to court every day? I've never met a person in the history of me dealing with the prison system go to court every single day. I mean, what kind of case you got? You know, John Gotti and them, when they had their case, they wasn't going to court every day. But here it is, you have individuals going every single day. You just need to understand that they're not really going to court. They're going to the courthouse, but they're not going to court. They're going to the courthouse to share some information. So, you know, I had to be careful with that. Also, you had to buy a lock on the commissary to lock up your legal work, because guys will breaking in people lockers to take their paperwork out, read it, learn all the facts of the case, and then share something with the government that may not even be true. But just the fact of them knowing certain particulars of the case, by them breaking in your lock and reading your paperwork, the government will believe their story. Like, oh, okay, this got to be true, because how would he know about A, B, and C? Is that right, family? Put it in the comment section. Let me know what y'all feel about that. But these were the things that were happening in this particular prison, the Federal Detention Center in Philadelphia. Now, you know, shout out to the good man that I journeyed with and I was in the trenches with in the federal penitentiaries from Philadelphia, man. You know, this is not a blemish to the whole city of Philadelphia, but if you're from Philadelphia, you know what I'm telling is the truth. But guess what? It's all over. But it just so happened that's where I went. So that is what I experienced first, going to that federal detention center. But nonetheless, this is happening all over the United States in every federal prison. So I just want to clear it up so no one thinks I'm trying to shoot a shot at the whole city of Philadelphia, because that's not what it is. I met a lot of good, solid men, thorough men from Philadelphia that I build strong bonds with, that I communicate with to this very day. So this is not a blemish against the whole city of Philadelphia. But for those of you that's guilty of that behavior, I'm talking to you. You know who you are, and there ain't no hiding place for you. So, these are the things that you have to deal with going through the federal court system. I'm going to stop there for today. But my intentions is I'm going, rather than rush through going to trial and, we know what the end result is. I want to kind of give you some knowledge on what's going on in those federal detention centers, those regular county jails that have contracts with the federal government to house federal inmates there, and kind of help you to understand the mentality and what this whole puzzle is all about. Very interested to learn these things. So I thank you for tapping in. Please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Also share the video with your friends, your loved one, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead, family, and just subscribe. It's not like I'm up here trying to teach you how to rob a bank, how to sell some cokes. I'm up here giving some jewels that can help all of us, including myself. And with more to come, with more topics to come down the road. So go ahead and help your boy out and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to leave you as I always do, family. Always try to remember this and keep this stored in the back of your head and take it with you wherever you go. Please always remember that your potential for greatness is unlimited.